Hey there, Internet friends. Trevor Starkey here with another episode of Trevor Trove Gaming, Tuesday edition. Today I am talking about Celeste, which I originally wasn't going to play. I'd seen a little bit of it before it really blew up with reviews and whatnot. But then even when the reviews hit and everybody was like, "This is an amazing story," but the game itself is still one of those more hardcore precision platformers, I was like, I really don't have an interest in doing that. I got burned by Crash Bandicoot last year, and I don't play games to become frustrated with them. And I tweeted out when I did eventually play through and beat Celeste that I get why people like Celeste, and I get why people were giving this tens and raving about it. But for me, the number of times that I cursed through this game is just not why I play games. But I did go back eventually, and so rewinding, I played through Celeste, and I didn't find it so difficult that I ever walked away. I feel like there are sequences in this game that maybe go on a few screens too long, but it's all manageable enough that I was able to get through the normal game without hopping into assist mode. But then for all of the B-side stuff and all the extra kind of content and side content that this game has to offer, that's when I said, you know what, I'm just going to see what the assist mode's like, and hopped in and ended up probably enjoying that part of the game more as I kind of went through and finished it out. In terms of the story of the game, which I got to enjoy, I do appreciate that it builds in the struggle of climbing Celeste Mountain, and all of the challenges that you have in that. It builds that into the story. That's a nice kind of little, at least narrative tie-in to the frustrations that you're going to feel, dying over and over and over again. Celeste has you playing Madeline is your main character. You can, I think, rename her whatever you'd like at the beginning, but I kept her as the default Madeline name. And she is basically kind of a miss in her life. She doesn't really know where she wants to go next, so she has decided, I need to climb this mountain. I wanna see this thing through. I need to feel like I'm accomplishing something. Very much in the way that somebody who plays Celeste might be like, I want to play this game, I want to get to the top of this mountain, I want to accomplish something. As you play through, you climb through this mountain, pretty early on you get kind of split apart by the mystical energies of the mountain, and part of me, as the character goes by, kind of breaks apart from you, and you have Madeline and part of me, basically a shadow mirror image of the character, kind of butting heads, and they end up kind of being very, very antagonistic throughout Madeline's journey up the mountain. You also have a nice little character, Theo, who's an aspiring, he's the comic relief buddy character of the game. Madeline kind of stumbles upon him early on, and he just kind of he's there because he's much more freewheeling, and he's out there because he wants to take pictures for Instapics, basically like an Instagram type thing. And so he's always taking selfies, and they share nice little scenes and a lot of great dialogue kind of back and forth. On the dialogue, the story itself, great. I also particularly love the kind of embodiment of the story, in that the characters, you're reading the text and the characters are kind of in very Star Fox-like gibberish, kind of saying the line with appropriate inflection. So when Madeline is very timid about something, she becomes very kind of timid in how she is gibberishing through her dialogue. And when she's mad, it becomes bolder and brasher and stuff like that. So they do a good job kind of matching the inflection to the tone that they're trying to convey in the story. And yeah, so the story very much ends up kind of going into issues of fighting against yourself, fighting against depression, and the parts of yourself that you don't like. It does very well without, I think, ever even really kind of name-dropping depression. I think the part of me character very much is the physical embodiment of depression, and at least how it's described, it's very often, it matches kind of what a depressed person might feel, in terms of like, I hate this part of myself, I'm fighting against this part of myself, how do I live with this part of myself? That kind of element of the game really, I think, works. As I said, the gameplay, I didn't really touch on specific gameplay. Gameplay is you are dashing up this mountain. You basically have like a jump, and you can dash into a double jump. You can grab onto like cliff edges, and then you basically, those are your tools, and you have to kind of jump around the mountain. Some things kind of pop into to the game throughout. You might get like spring pads or something, or clouds that you can jump on and jump higher. But basically, every screen of this game, in the style of an old school kind of side scroller game, every screen basically has like point A that you have to start from and get to point B to kind of progress through the game. And there might be side paths that you can take, or like hidden things. You'll have extra challenges in that you can collect strawberries in a lot of different screens, where you'll have to kind of go out of the way to get the strawberry, and you feel maybe extra accomplished doing that. And then also within each of the game's 7 main levels, I think, plus a kind of an epilogue level, there are B-side tapes that you can get, which will kind of give you it'll give you access to an extra challenging version of that level. Each of the levels nicely tie into different kind of themes. Like the first level of the game is kind of the ruins of a city that was maybe built at the base of the mountain, getting up to a point where there's like a hotel level, where there was this mystical hotel on the mountain that has long since been abandoned, but still has a caretaker kind of watching over it, that kind of welcomes you. So each level itself has a nice kind of feel and theme to it. Some of them introduce new obstacles or traversal methods. For example, there's a level that kind of introduces like a space that you can basically travel through. Like if there's like a little blob here in the screen, you can hit it from one side and go through it, and your dash jump will also be replenished. So every kind of level has a whole bunch of screens that you're just trying to get through, and they are, of course, increasingly requiring extra precision and twitch timing and stuff like that. So not really my cup of tea, as I said earlier, but with enough attempts, I was able to get through these things. There's a death counter. I think the most I died in any particular level was probably like a couple hundred times to get all the way through it. So I think I was actually doing better than maybe a lot of people are. But I also didn't want to go anywhere near the B-level stuff, the B-sides. But when I beat the game, I did hop into the assist mode that the game kind of introduces and says, hey, like, we built this game with difficulty in mind, so we hope that you try it with the difficulty, but if that's too, we want the story to be accessible to you. So if that's too much for you, here's assist mode. There's no shame in doing it. So after I beat the game, I hopped into assist mode to basically clean up and go and get a whole bunch of the berries on the sides and stuff, and see what these B-side levels might be like, and basically how crazy people would have to be to really go through them. And that was where I ended up, I think, enjoying myself even more, was when I had kind of the invincibility powers, so I wouldn't die if I landed on spikes or if I hit spikes accidentally or something like that. Because so much of what frustrated me about this game was seeing what I needed to do and knowing exactly what I needed to do, but just my hand-eye coordination not being as precise as it needed to be to do it. I don't take joy in that, because I've already solved the puzzle of how to do it. I just can't get my fingers to do what I need them to do in order to solve it. So I just don't take pleasure in that. Those aren't the kinds of, that's not why I play video games. And that's why I don't play a lot of these types of games. But playing with the assist mode, you can slow down time, so you can play the game at 50% speed, so you've got more time to make those split-second decisions and pixel perfect jumps and stuff like that. You can turn on infinite jumps when you normally in the game only have 1, 2 later in the game and stuff like that. You can turn on infinite stamina, so you never run out of energy gripping onto the side of a wall, because if you grip on, in the normal game, if you grip too long, you'll fall, and the nice thing about the game is you die and you're back in. It's not even like a loading screen or anything. You die and you boom back to the starting point of a screen or something like that. Checkpointing is great. You don't have to go back to the beginning of a level. It is just that screen. Some screens are a little bit on the larger side, so it becomes, okay, you've got to do 6 things in sequence to get to the end spot instead of the normal 1 or 2 that you might need to do. But yeah, overall I had a good time with the game. I get why people really were singing its praises and loving it. I don't put it at that level, just because that's not the kind of game I'm looking for. But it is a solid game. It is a good game, and it is a lot of fun. Music is another thing that this game's getting a ton of praise on, and I was talking to my friend Quentin right before kind of recording this video about it, or it was a few hours ago now, but before recording this video we were talking about the music because he very much loved it. He's got a review over at Irrational Passions. Definitely go check that out. I had heard people talking and singing the praises about this game's music, and I very much enjoyed the music in the moment, but none of it really stands as memorable to me. Having put the game down a day or two ago, I don't remember any themes or anything. I'm sure they'd pop back in if I hopped back into a new level or something like that. And I do enjoy the remixes that you get in the B-side, more difficult areas, but overall this didn't have anything as immediately catchy and iconic as something like Megalovania from Undertale, for example. So I don't know how well the music of this game will kind of last the test of time, versus it was really cool while I was playing these levels, versus it's really cool 6 months from now and I want to go back and listen to those songs or something like that. So I think I've kind of covered the bases. Great story, great platforming for what it is, but it's just not for me. It's not something that interests me. That I imagine the people who end up doing crazy speedruns of this are going to be the insane little psychos that I want nothing to do with. But shout out to them, and good on them for taking pleasure in that kind of grind and that kind of challenge that this game certainly has available for you. So those are my thoughts on Celeste. Kind of a little bit rambly all over the place, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more, I think, when I kind of had the godlike ability and wasn't stressed out about trying to do everything pixel perfect. And I was, even when I was bouncing around in assist mode, I was still going through and trying not to jump into the spikes and stuff like that. But if I could, if I hit the spike, I wasn't being set back a little bit. And so I appreciated that kind of element of playing with the assist mode more, and that's why I think I just enjoyed the after effects of the game more than I did the regular game. So those are my thoughts on Celeste. Let me know what you thought about the game in the comments below. As I said, go check out my friend Quentin, his review of the game over at irrationalpassions.com. I will link that in the description below. Give him some love. And yeah, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. As always, I've been your host, Trevor Starkey from TrevorTrove.com. You can follow me at SnarkyStarkey on Twitter. And until next time, from here at the Trove, treasure your friends.